my worst experience, this was not in Berlin though,
Yeah.
guys. I was walking on the street, it was in south of Germany, and some guy from right behind me, he called, he just said, hey, something like this. I thought this guy literally wanted to ask for like an address or whatever. Guess what happened to me?
Wow.
I received a punch on my face.
I'm a person that if I'm on the train and somebody is crying, even if I don't know you, I try to give you a tissue. And if it's too much, I could ask you, are you fine? Is there anything I can do? That is me. Like,
Even a bird has to do that before he can fly.
Wow. Okay.
All right, number 800 right there.
That was something. Hello, people. What's good? We are back. We are live from the city of Berlin. Dare I say the best city in the world, like I like to say.
I agree to disagree.
Of course, it's the
Every
same.
time. But then, this is like the first time in a long time we're all back together, like three of
I
us.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last week, I was saying that I did not miss you people.
I saw that.
I don't miss you too.
Hey, please.
Well, that's not true.
Of course, I miss you. I miss you guys.
But then you said from the city of Berlin. Is there another time, or would there be a time where we'll shoot from another?
Don't mind him because it's only Berlin. He has not gone somewhere else.
Dear Lord.
Taking places.
Of course. Because you guys are doing Ajala travel around the world.
What do you mean by that?
Anywho, today is an interesting one. So it's always interesting anyways, right? So you guys are the OGs. We're always coming with you with good stuff. Good stuff only, right? And today we have like an amazing guest with us. And not just in the world, because usually we'd say we have interesting guests, but today's guest is very, I don't know, he's a different kind of guest. Because we're talking about a topic called, are we really living in the disconnected world, right? In a detached society. And this guest that we have today is someone, I'm going to break it down to you guys.
Okay.
He has read a poem to 799 people in the city of Berlin. Yeah? So this dude, he goes around and he reads a poem to random strangers.
Wow.
Yeah, so just imagine that, right? 799 people so far. And we are lucky because he's going to do the 800 here on this show live.
But then you count us 1, 2, 3, more than 300.
I don't know. We have to ask him. So maybe he's going to count us as three.
Or one.
As three people or one, right? But without further ado, right? We do the drum rolls, right? Drum roll. Present to you, Martin, my man. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well, and glad to be here with you all today, and excited to do my 800th reading. You all only count as one. It's each reading, so I don't get 3 for this. And so I'll be glad to recite it to you. But before I do that, I invite all of us to take a deep breath to prepare for the reading of the poem.
All right.
It's a yoga kind of thing.
So we start. So we start with the poem, right?
Should we?
Let's do it. Okay. Yeah. Let's do it.
How surely gravity's law, strong as an ocean current, takes hold of even the smallest thing and pulls it toward the heart of the world. Each thing, each stone, blossom, child is held in place. Only we, in our arrogance, push out beyond what we each belong to for some empty freedom. If we surrendered to Earth's intelligence, we could rise uprooted like trees. Instead, we entangle ourselves in knots of our own making and struggle, lonely and confused. So, like children, we begin again to learn from the things because they are in God's heart. They have never left Him. This is what the things can teach us: to fall, patiently to trust our heaviness. Even a bird has to do that before he can fly.
Wow. Okay.
All right, number 800 right there.
That was something.
Congratulations.
That was something.
On your 800 reading. this question.
Reading. Okay. I mean, I had to close my eyes. I don't know. Did you guys?
I did initially, but I'm like, are we praying?
It was a mix of both, and I tried not to look at her because then I'll be like,
you get distracted. So but for me, I figured like closing my eyes kind of helped me focus on what he was saying, right? And when I open my eyes and I'm seeing like all the people, I'm like, okay, I'm not paying attention. So when you do this reading, like, do you like ask the people to like, I don't know. So I mean, you do like this deep breath, but does that also include like, I don't know, closing your eyes and trying to focus on like what you're reading?
No,
okay.
No. I think like, because I'm approaching strangers, I have this feeling that everyone is mildly afraid that I'm going to steal from them. So if I was like, "Oh, can I read you a poem and close your eyes?" I think
if I'm closing my eyes, then you're taking my phone or something. Yeah.
Just like.
Can I tell you something funny? So Chris, our producer, when he told me about you and about the encounter, and it was like, first of all, like when you approached him on the train. He was scared, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, a Nigerian man, like, in a train and someone telling him, like, close your eyes. He's like, this guy wants to do some voodoo on me or
I want to read a poem. Yeah.
So he was, like, scared and he was like, but yeah, he was just like, yeah, like, what's the worst thing that could happen? You know what I'm saying? And like, yeah, you know, you read the poem to him and then, you know, he got to
And when he even said that, I'm like, if somebody walks up to me and tell me that, I would...
You would decline, right?
Yeah.
But this is what we're here to really figure out, right? Because I feel like your encounter with 799 people, now 800, definitely has shown you something about the connection or disconnectedness, right, of our world. I am sure, right? I have a feeling like talking to 799 strangers definitely has taught you a lot, right? About how we detached as humanity right now, like how we, how do you say, like, do we care, right? Do we, I mean, you were saying at the beginning, like just before we started, you know, like, you know, part of the point of the poem reading is also trying to see like people leaning into care. I think you said it's something like this, but I don't want to like take the words out of your mouth. So I want you to like maybe just go into that. First of all, in terms of like, you know, the inspiration behind this, right? And what is like, you know, this thing we're trying to achieve, or you are trying to achieve with it, and kind of like linking that to like this topic of like detachment, disconnection, right? Like, what have you found out?
Yeah, so when I started this project, I had a lot of questions. Like I wasn't really sure what I would find. And then I was coming to Berlin, which is like a famously rude city.
Whoa.
And
I thought this was the best city in the world.
I'm not saying
it's
a great city, but like people, they kind of exist. They know what they want, and what they want doesn't always include an openness to difference.
Yeah.
And so by doing this unexpected action, I've kind of positioned myself in this unknown space. And so I'm approaching people, and there's this moment of like, what's going on? Who is this person? What does he want from me? And so there's like all these calculations that the person is doing when I asked him, that Chris was doing when I talked to him. And then for the people who say yes, there's this moment of recognition where they're like, oh my God, I still don't know exactly what is happening, but I think this unexpected and maybe beautiful thing is going to happen. And I'm going to choose to be open to that. And I think in part, this project has been an exploration to explore that disconnect that you're talking about, and to figure out like how disconnected are we. But it's not just like a measurement, because by asking, I'm trying to invite people into a space of connection and into a space where they are able to embrace creativity and the unknown, and to have a more open mind to everything that the world can offer them.
If I may ask, the 800 people, I did it just in Berlin. Was it when you got to Berlin that you decided to start this project?
And to give some context, you're from the US, right?
Yeah.
I think we didn't mention that.
Okay.
Right? So you're from the US, right?
Yeah. I live outside Philly, which is like
Nice.
known as one of the rudest cities in America in the US. So I was like, I
Okay.
had good practice coming here.
Interesting stuff. Okay. But yeah, to Toby's question, right? So so you did all the readings were in Berlin.
Yeah, mostly. I did like a few. I went to Venice for a week, so I just did a few there.
Right.
I did a few in Poland, but it's for the most part, it's been all in Berlin.
Okay. Wow. And you didn't start this in the US. You started this when you came.
I waited till I got here.
Okay. Interesting.
And I'm curious, when you approached people, some people said no, right? Not everybody agreed to Barreto.
Yeah, so I've gotten 4 rejections today. I had 16 rejections yesterday. The most rejections I've ever gotten was 72 in one day.
Yeah.
I was over in Charlottenburg, and they were just, left and right.
Yeah, and I'm curious, because we're talking about this connection. So do you think those people, everybody that rejected, do you feel like they're disconnected?
Or detached?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's a level of that. Yeah.
Or maybe they're just having a very bad day, and or they were having a shitty day, and it was just like wrong timing.
Yeah. So there's so many reasons why people don't want to hear a poem. They might guess that my accent in German is not very good. I've worked very hard on the pronunciation, but still I'll read the poem and the Berliners will be like, no, you said this word wrong and that word wrong. And then sometimes people just want to be left alone, and I can appreciate that. I think the thing that I find most difficult is when I ask somebody or I attempt to ask somebody, and there's this kind of blanket refusal to engage in any way.
Conversation.
Yeah, in any, like, even to acknowledge
reply and say something.
my like existence as a human, and that is frustrating.
Yeah, I think if I'm hungry, I could do that. I feel like one of my shittiest mood is when I'm very hungry. I'm not always hungry, but when I'm hungry, I don't love food. But then if I'm really hungry, I could be so tired, exhausted, and it's like I'm not functioning. For me to be hungry, maybe I've not eaten all day. And when I'm in such mood, I'm always cranky and tired and frustrated. And maybe I'm coming back from work. I'm not even sure what I'm going to eat. And somebody's trying to talk to me. I'm always like, no.
Yeah.
So I could be that person. And I understand where you're coming from. But then I'm just giving a scenario. It could be me on the train or anywhere.
So to add to that context now, like, do you try to read the atmosphere or like the face of the person you're reading the thing to? And do you have different poem that you read to people, or it's just like particular poem and then you?
So it's the same poem. It's by Rilke, who's a German poet, and I learned how to read it in German and English
By heart, right?
by heart. Yeah,
Because I saw you didn't read from a book. Which was interesting.
800 times. It took me a while, but my memory finally, got it together to remember it. So I try to offer to read to at least one person a day who I expect to say no, just to like not get too comfortable in assuming who I think will say yes. But then also as I've gone along, I've started to gravitate towards people who I think will say yes, because I got tired of getting 72 rejections in one day. And I think that younger people are so much more open. And I think, on the one hand, I want to invite other people into the space, but I also part of me just wants to offer this moment to people who appreciate it. And that tends to be younger people.
Okay. Yeah, I'm very curious. This is my last question pertaining this. What neighborhood did you get the most yeses? I'm really curious.
Yeah, so I'm staying in Moabit doing this art residency, and there's a park next to the residency, and there'll be days when I'll go out in the park and get like 0 rejections. So I think a lot of it is like the setting that people are in. And so at the park, when people go to the park, they're there to relax and be more open to the world. So that the park in Moabit outside Zekeu is really good. And also, I just want to add that the like one demographic that says that who I approach the most often and who says yes the most often are smokers.
Smokers.
Yeah, people smoking a cigarette, which it's a lot of friends, but they're just like they're out there, they're having a smoke. They have 2 minutes to spare, and I'm like, yeah, it just
I'm taking my puff. Keep talking.
Wow, I know you've got about 2 minutes that I can read this puff.
Perfect.
Oh yes, inspiration.
It's gonna help them connect even more to your poem.
Yeah, I say take a deep breath, and they're like, okay,
Of course, I'm already taking breath.
I'm also curious to know how you like keep tabs of people. Do you take pictures after? Do they want to take pictures or something?
Yeah. So at first, I was trying to take photographs of people, but I started to feel a little conflicted about that because I was also reading to people in more vulnerable positions, so like people who were living on the street, and I didn't really feel comfortable wanting to ask them for their photograph in case they felt like I was taking something from them. I wanted this to be more so a gift, and the act of taking a photograph I thought could be they could see it as taking from them. So I just kind of stopped taking photographs.
Okay. I mean, I'm gonna like deviate a little bit. So I want to get to like some facts, right? There's only facts.
Yeah.
Cool. So there's a study that was conducted mostly in the US, the studies, by University of Michigan, right? And they realized that empathy levels among college students declined by 40%, over the past 3 decades. There's also like another research from the Pew Research Center, saying like political polarization, so which is this divide, right, that we have, within the, especially like political space, right? This has doubled over the past 2 decades as well, right? This topic about detachment, right, when it comes to how human are we still are as a people, you know what I'm saying? So there's this idea that like everyone is kind of like just in their, I don't know, in their own bubble, like just doing their thing, and like everyone is just like, I don't know, whether it's like hustling and just, and there seems, I mean, like we've had this topic already, like in the past about like loneliness and like, this, finding meaningful connections. I feel like we're still going to do another one, like, in the future about friendships, especially, right? Meaningful connections. But I just wonder if like there is something that this reading of the poem has taught you about like the state of like our nature as humans, right? Like from most of the people you encountered, like where do you think we are? I mean, I'm not saying like your like 800 readings like is the final say, right?
Exactly.
But I'm just curious from your own, right, from what you've seen, like where do you think we are right now when it comes to how like connected we are as people, how caring, like how open we are as humans? Like, do you think we're going like much deeper and deeper into this whole, or like do you think there are people out there who are still like, who still care, right, who want to lean into this?
Yeah, so I think there are definitely people who care, and I think a lot of this has to do with smartphones and kind of how we engage with those, and in some ways we're kind of given access to people's stories around the world, and so in some ways we're caring for people around the world and hearing their stories and their voices more than we ever have before. And so like in that way we are more connected, we are more open. But then on a local level, on just like the people around us, I think it's much easier to not be connected, to kind of retreat into the bubble that the smartphone creates for us. And yeah, I was on the U-Bahn, and this guy was just scrolling through his phone, and I was like, can I read you a poem? And he was like, no. No, I mean, he just kept
I'd rather keep scrolling.
Yeah, I was like, man, this is so sad that this unexpected encounter is less interesting than the algorithm that Mark Zuckerberg has created for you to, experience the world.
Like, I mean, because for me, like, to context of like someone reading me a poem, right? To be honest, I'm not sure, like, also how I'm gonna like react as a person, just like what you were saying, because like, I don't know, like, maybe depends on like the state of mind you're in on that day and stuff, right? But there is this thing you're saying about like chance encounters, right? And like the power that this has, just talking to like a random stranger in the train and like, having like a pure, like, healthy conversation that could go a long way for this person, right? Or just even today, like in church, and you guys were not in the second service, but like the pastor was saying, like there was the lady at the counter that decided to pay the grocery of this elderly woman, just because she felt like she wanted to do it, right? And when the woman asked her, like, why did you do whatever? And then she did realize that actually it was like a 90th birthday, this elderly woman on that day. And what a coincidence. Like, and these are the things that just like make you feel like you don't know like what this little like opening up yourself to someone, like what it does, right? But for me, it's like why? Like, because I feel like there is a trend in that direction that we are less and less, being concerned about people, and like we are like as a society, I think we're looking more inward than outwards, right? And this is like what this whole topic is about. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do we think that is the case, right? So, I mean, on one side, I feel like this technology, right? So, one of the things I was going to mention. Technology it has like both like it's good and bad sides, right? So, on one side, I remember we were talking on the episode, I think it's a cancel culture, and like how, like technology has helped us to like be able to like within like, snap of a finger, information, can get, like to millions of people around the world, right? But there are also like this, dark side, right? Side of technology, which I feel like has made us like to be so glued to this thing, and we just miss everything happening around us, right? Like you're in a park and think about like the wonderful conversations, encounters you can have with people, right? But maybe the average person is just like, I'm not here to talk to anybody. I think like just leave me my average person. That kind of
because I'm like, I just want to be
I want to be left alone.
But that doesn't mean I'm not empathic. I am. I'm a kind of person that I could be on the road and like the other day I was working with my friends and we saw someone trip on Rosenthala Plaza while we're working with Sam. I'm a kind of person that I would run and cross.
Wow.
I'm a person that if I'm on the train and somebody is crying, even if I don't know you, I try to give you a tissue. And if it's too much, I could ask you, are you fine? Is there anything I can do? That is me. Like, that is what I do. But then I'm also the person that could just go to the park because I want to be in my bubble. Not because I'm not empathic or not because I'm not trying to. But sometimes I just want
you also need that.
But in as much as I'm in that phase, maybe I wouldn't want to be read to or something. But then it's just like if I see someone trip, I don't care who you are, your color, where you're from. It's like a reflex for me. My friends, they know me. I'm like, okay. Like sometimes I don't even watch the road because I'm like, oh, I have to help this person. Something just happened. Or mostly on the train because you just see some people, like for someone to literally break down and start crying in a public place, that means they could not hold it. Whatever is going through them, then it's like, it's beyond them. And for them to just like, when I say it, I don't care where you're from. If you're older than me, like I always try to have this pocket tissue. So I'm like, okay, take this. And then if I don't have, I'm always like, are you okay? Sometimes if they come down from the train, I come down, even if that's not my place. If it's really awkward, because you know how the U8 or U2 can be, everybody is. So I'll just alight with them. And I was just like, oh, are you fine?
That's quite interesting. I
will actually. Exactly. See, I am that kind of person. Actually,
no, but I mean that's exactly like this. Because for me, it's like, when was the last time? Like I don't know, like there are some weird things that happen in Berlin, for example, right? So I was reading on LinkedIn, like, and the lady who posted it actually also know her. And she said she was in the U-Bahn and there was some weird guy that came in and like started like yelling at her and like, you know, was saying some, I don't know, maybe racist words, whatever. And she was just there, like, she couldn't do anything. But for her, it wasn't even about like, maybe like someone like standing up to the guy or whatever, because it's like in this Berlin, everybody just minds their business.
It would have been great.
But she was like, even something as little as maybe someone just coming to her side and like just saying, hey, ignore him, something like this, right?
Like everybody's minding their business. That is so
it was like the side, like the way everyone was just like as if nothing going on here.
Yeah,
it's bad.
You know what I'm saying? And she wrote a post about it on LinkedIn. It was like, yo, like. And this was something like just really recent. You know what I'm saying?
I think it happens often, actually.
And it happens, exactly.
You also had that encounter in the
bus. It happens often where someone is just yelling at and everybody minds their business or something. Right?
Yeah.
And it could even get worse. Like, it could be like somebody
physical. Yeah, I'm also the kind of person that will stand up for myself. Like, you can't be racist to me. Like, if I can't speak the language to get back at you, I'll speak in English. But sometimes I'm always down. Listen, but sometimes I'm always so down that somebody would just say some things and I'm just like, I don't have the energy because I'm that speak for yourself person. Don't let anybody talk to you.
You don't find some crazy people that
but there are sometimes people you're just so exhausted normally and somebody you're just like, oh fuck it, another one. Like what?
My worst experience, this was not in Berlin though, guys. I was walking on the street, it was in south of Germany, and some guy from right behind me, he called, he just said, hey, something like this. I thought this guy literally wanted to ask for like an address or whatever. Guess what happened to me?
Wow.
I received a punch on my face. I got a punch on my face, guys.
Wow.
Yeah, I got a punch on my face. And it was so weird. I was walking with another friend, with a guy. And in my head, it's like, within that moment, I was like first thinking like, what should I punch this guy back? I don't know if you know, like within that it's like this flash, like you have to decide under like nanoseconds, right?
Like, what did I do to deserve this? What warranted this?
Like, yo, I just walked away because I was like,
yeah, I know.
You would have told me now.
This is the last person you should call. Maybe me, but not Toby.
So that it would be the two of us together. It was so weird. And then my German also was not so good. I don't know what the guy was saying. What, like, and it was like, come, punch me, punch.
Ooh.
Like that was the moment he told me like I should punch him. That was when I knew like, okay, like something is wrong with this guy. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, okay, do you call the police or? I was just like, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And this is like, for me, I feel like this is how much like, I mean, like,
were people there?
Not really. So it was like it was in the evening, like on the street, whatever, right? And people were like around, but not like maybe necessarily like within the scene, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, but I just remember the story from this topic of like, you know, how much also do people care when we see like, you know, like an injustice, something going on, like, you know, like on the street to some random person, right? Or someone tripped and fell and like, you know, do we offer like a hand to help the person up, right? And like, this is like all the things I try to like figure out in my head, right? And like, what is really happening to us, like, you know, as humans, like, and what can we do, right? How can we like, you know, bring back like this, like
can I say something?
Maybe Martin should say something.
Yeah, after Martin.
Go ahead, please.
I just have a question and it's a comment. So, like what you said, what can we do or what are we doing?
Yeah.
So, like you just said, when you see people trip, do you try to help them? Do you speak out for people? That's something we can do. You could start it. So now, if you do it, it's something I do. So if you do it in, for example, 1 million people that were not doing it, now it's like 9 point something. If Toby does it, that's it.
Don't do it.
I'm just saying.
So it starts with us.
You, basically, yes. So sometimes when you do things, it also inspires people to do things. That's how life is.
Yeah.
So is that bad or good thing? Somebody's going to pick it up. For example, tipping. I have this friend. Every time I go to a restaurant, I'll tip. And he would be like, why? Like, already paid for the food. I didn't know getting paid. And I'm like, it's not easy to work in service. And now he tips. It's like every time you go to the restaurant, you'll be like, guess what? I just tipped. Thank you. I learned from you. So it's like somebody is going to pick it up from you.
Yeah.
If one of your friends is working with you on one day and sees how you care about someone else, probably the person might even ask you like, oh, why did you do that? And if you could explain and give a good reason, definitely if the person is in a position to do something like that, the person will. So Martin,
I agree.
the floor is to you.
I just want to say that I'm really sorry that happened to you, and that's such a
thank you. That's okay. It's years ago already. So
so I offered to read the poem to a guy, and he pushed me, and it wasn't like that same degree,
right?
But it's interesting how like men in particular use the physical force as a way of like pushing back against things that they don't understand. And I think that question of like, what can we do? What is there to be done? I was like, I can't do much, but I can engage with strangers and offer this moment that challenges their expectations of the divisions that we have between us. And then there's like the direct impact of that, but then there's also like each person who I read to, that can impact them and then impact how they engage with other people, and they can talk about it. So I approached this guy in the Etika, and I was like, oh, can I read you a poem? And he was like, oh, I've been waiting for you. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you read to my wife in the park. And I wasn't there. So I've been waiting for my poem. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad we found each other.
Okay.
That's so
you see?
So there are these kind of webs that get created throughout the city by reading. And I think that for me in the past, I've had this sense of, oh my God, there's so much going wrong in the world. There's so much to do that I feel overwhelmed, or I want to try and fix everything all at once. But I think that I've learned to try to narrow my focus on the people around me in particular, and think about what I can do myself to create a more open and accepting and loving and curious world.
And I wonder, like, so I think it's because that was also like my original question, right? Like, what would you say, like, this journey, like your encounter with 800 people, like has taught you about humanity? I think we kind of skipped that, right? Now I come back to it.
Yeah. So I think that so much of humanity is conditional. Like, if you're hungry, you're not going to want to hear a poem. If you're in a bad mood, you're not going to hear a poem. And so there are the conditions that we live in that are created by things like having to have a job and think about healthcare and all these different things that like can limit our ability to explore and connect and pursue creative endeavors. And so I think that it's like, there are many ways in which we are less open, we are less connected. And a lot of that has to do with the conditions that we're living in. And it's really hard to change those conditions because there's a lot of powerful interests that want them to be like bad for the majority of people, for people who are struggling to make ends meet. Because when you're struggling, it is much harder to be open and to like enjoy life when you're like not sure how to survive. And I don't know, but I think within all of that we are dealing with, there's also these moments of opportunity that we all have the ability to kind of think deeply in our own lives and invite people into these kind of poetic encounters or loving encounters.
It's quite. So there's a poem. Not a poem, like a quote. I just remembered as you were talking about this, and I was just going to read it. So I'm reading my own poem.
Wow.
I love it. I love it when someone reads a poem back to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is not a poem, but it's just like I just remember this point you made about like when people are suffering, you find it more difficult, right, to open up to people, to want to care like for any other person, because like, dude, like you're in your.
I'm going through my own. Yeah.
You are on okay, like we said in that episode. Okay, so this one says it says be soft, right? I don't know if you know it. It's like it's a quote from some guy called Kurt Vonnegut. So he said, be soft, do not let the world make you hard, right? Do not let bitterness steal your sweetness. Take pride that even though the rest of the world may disagree, you still believe it to be a beautiful place. But this idea of like, do not let pain make you hate, right? Because I feel like the pain that a lot of people go through, right, is definitely like one like reason like why you probably just don't care about people, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, because you need to deal with your stuff and you need to deal with your thing. But I wonder like if there are ways to like still create like this connectedness even within the pain, right? And to, for example, like I could imagine like if someone is struggling with, I don't know, like whatever, what kind of example can I give now to not be too
finances.
weird? With finances,
That's
right?
like very basic.
You know, like are there possibilities to
still give in all of that?
Not even to give now, right? But if you're able to find how do you say it, like a way to like people with shared experiences, right? People who have either been through that, right, or going through that, right, and you're still able to connect, right, on that level and give support to each other, right, and that's for me like one way as well when it comes to this whole topic, right. So like not letting like your pain shut you out, right, but also trying to see like what are some, I don't know, like communities or like avenues out there, right, to still connect with people who understand you on the level where you are. I don't know if you know what I mean.
Did you ask a question or like?
No, it's not a question. It's like it's a point, right? Point. It's a point. So, and it's kind of like leading, like kind of answering this question of like also still what can we do, right? And for me, one of that is this idea of like, you know, even within pain, right? Yeah. Like there are like opportunities to like connect
with people,
you know, on the level of that pain, right? And rather than shutting out to the world, right? And finding like for example, like I don't know, trying to recover from like alcoholism or something.
Yeah. That's why I said give when I said
and all of those things, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, for everybody, I feel like there's a level like where
they connect.
Right? There is some form of like support and like, you know, how can you like reach out, you know?
This is how I see it. Like for anything you're going through, so maybe someone is going through worse. And like the least you can do is also to connect to people. You don't know, maybe it's that just that one talk that you talk to that person that will lift them up that day or something. Like you might not even have, like if it's a financial problem, you might not even have the money to give this person, but it's just the talk. Or it's just like the hope you give them, oh, don't worry, there's going to be a solution. Or even the help you give the person, oh, you don't have money. Maybe I know someone that has money or something. Yeah, it could be that will help the person.
I think when I say give, I didn't mean money. And that's why I use finances. Because when people always say give, they always attribute it to finances or something. You could literally give your ears, your presence.
Exactly.
Like listening to someone. Some people really... I've not had someone to sit them down and say, how are you? How's life? Like giving your ears, your time, helping out with something. So when I said finances I give, most people just like put everything together and say money. It's not money. So you could not have money and have the hardest time.
Yeah.
But then you could give your time. you could give your listening ears. You could do something for someone. It could be whatever. And then it is like the least. So you think, okay, I'm not doing anything. This is the little thing I could do. You don't even know what that person was going through, and you being there for them to speak to, and maybe someone was like having a difficult time in life, and they explain to you, and you just said 1 or 2 words. To you, it might just be 1 or 2 words, and to them, that's just what they needed to hear to go through the day to another day. So when I say give, I mean there's so many things you could give, not money. So that's what I meant.
Totally, I agree. And this, I mean, like this idea of like, like something you're lacking, right? Of course, like, but you can have something else that could be the answer to someone else's, right? And like, I've seen that play out in so many ways, right? So in such a way, I don't have the money, but I might know someone, right? Who might be able to like connect you to this or do that, right? And is this idea of like, you know, like, should your pain like make you shut your bowels of compassion to people, right? And this is something that I just I get to think about.
Well,
you know?
I think everybody knows that the common answer is no. It shouldn't. But then, sometimes it's not easy to say no. Like, we can just probably say like, I hope we remind ourselves, and we try to remind ourselves and be like very present to know that life can be hard, things can happen, but I know it can be really hard, but then you can still be there for someone. So it's really hard to say, should your pain, everybody will say no, definitely. But then most times you cannot control it because you're always like, I'm going through my own thing and I cannot be there for everybody. Somehow, it's difficult, honestly. It's very difficult because there are levels to pain.
There are.
Yes. So there is.
No, I'm curious, like, very sincere question. When last did you guys think you like randomly like texted someone like to like genuinely like ask like, how are you doing?
I did this last week. I randomly just write down names of people that I have not spoken to.
The one thing it tells you to do.
No,
I did it today, but it wasn't in the form of how are you doing.
Okay.
It was in the form of acknowledging that I see what you're going through. I see what you're doing. And I want you to know that I see you. I can see it. It's not like many people. I did that this afternoon. The person was like, oh my God, Jessica, this is all I needed to hear. God bless you. I did that this afternoon. So
that's deep.
That was quick. That was recent.
I just did it this afternoon. Yeah.
And for you, do you? Because for me, like, yo, I don't know, like, but I'm trying to remember, bro. Like,
check up on me more.
I'm trying to remember because I'm this kind of person. Like, yo, I'm like, we're all doing good, we're fine. Like, yo, like when we hear each other. So I'm the kind of person, like, if we call, like, we can talk for like 2 hours, or 4 hours long, right? But I'm not like on this constant, right? And this is something I'm, even on this episode, trying to remind myself, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like just being like genuinely like deeply caring for people, like it goes along, especially people that, you know, you do know, like they hold a place, right? In your life. And even the ones that even don't, like sometimes it's just a thing of like, you know, and I feel like we've lost that sometimes, you know, like this, just, hey, like, how are you? I'm just checking in. You know, it's not just always like, hey, like, how are you? And this thing, and I want to ask for this thing or for that thing. But just genuine, like, hey, like, how are you? Like,
you know, I had a friend do this for me yesterday. She just called me. In a long time we've not spoken. She called me and she's like, how are you? And I'm like, actually,
you didn't know if you answer, I'm fine, or like how you really are.
I felt really good that, remember me. That was so good, actually. So just to
I think I did it maybe sometime this week, and I get a lot of inspiration in doing that from my grandmother, who used to write like letters to people all the time. And she, when she died, we had these boxes and boxes of all the letters that she had received from friends that she had met, and sometimes, you know, very briefly, but she really invested in those relationships and wanting to just show her care towards towards the people in her life.
Yeah.
Do you guys still receive handwritten letters? Like, it's been a while.
Can I say something? I love handwritten notes, so I love nice things, expensive things. But I'm telling you that on my birthdays, sometimes if it's not what I really like, I give it out. But I see my handwritten cards from all the birthdays I've done in Berlin since 2018 or 19. I have them.
Wow.
I keep them and I read them, and I just don't, even when I get messages. So I'm very lucky in my life that God just puts some people in my life that when I'm going through something, it's like he just picks the one person and they just send me like the most emotional and caring messages. And you know what? I screenshot them, and in my notes I have like most important messages, and I just put all of them because I don't want to go through my WhatsApp. So sometimes when I'm really going through, I just go, I'm like, I'm this girl there, and okay, somebody wrote this to me, I'm good. So yes, I keep like birthday cards. She knows. Christmas card, like my birthday, whatever present you get me, to complete it, just write a personalized card. You can ask me in 5 years, I'll show you.
Interesting.
Yes,
I feel like because handwritten notes, they go a long way.
I used to do that then, but
I love
to write. I like writing letters.
I love them.
The civilization now.
Everything.
But I still do, but not like I used to before. Actually,
everything is technology now. So interesting stuff. There was something that I was gonna bring up. But now it skipped my mind. Okay. I hope it comes back.
Okay.
Right. But in the meantime, so I wonder if still like talking about like the topic of like detachment, empathy, right? Do we think this is something? Now I remember my other point. Okay. Yeah. But I'll let me deal with this one first. So like, do we think this is something that can be taught to people?
Okay. By example.
And if yes, okay, cool.
Yes, by example.
Not just by speaking.
Yeah, not like, you have to do
which is
by
showing.
Example. Yes, by showing. That's the best way. That's the easiest way. You literally don't even have to say, I'm teaching you. People pick things. Everybody, it's just like kids. Everything you do in front of a child, they always want to try it. Every human was once a child. So people pick things. Like, I know when I get home today, I'm going to resonate and say, oh, wow, Martin read to 800 people. How did he do that? In 800 people, he probably approached 1,005. And only, yes, that's something. So people...
How many did you approach, by the way, Chris? Do you have a number?
I've lost track, but it's definitely been over 1,000.
You see? So people pick things. I feel like example. Yeah, you could tell them, but you cannot force it. But example is the best.
Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay. Because I think it also has to do like upbringing, right? So it's like at the end of the day, like we're a product of like the environment that we've grown, right? And if we want this to change also for the future generation, right? Like we have to start like being that change, right?
Absolutely.
And like all of these values, like caring for people, and because I feel like there's also some cultural aspects to this, right? Maybe like in different cultures, there's different, like emphasis on like, certain like values and like, because if you just grow up in an environment where like it's full mode hustling, like, and like just for example, like I don't hear like, for example, like if you're like in New York City and stuff like this, like I don't know, I haven't been to New York yet, but I heard like this is an hustler city, you know what I'm saying? Like you could be in this, like so imagine growing up in that kind of mindset, like and like it's like Lagos, you know what I'm saying? So it's like like this, you also grow up to become, this, right? And it's a question of like, if we want like this, to change, like we need to start being, right, a change, like pass on those values, right? And the initial one I was going to mention, right? So to someone who is out there, who is struggling, like who's like, I don't have like important relationships in my life. Like I don't have people who care about me. Where is the place for them to start? Like how
do they like? So
how should you build? So like,
they have people, but they don't just feel like they're very important or something.
Yeah, or you don't. Yeah.
For me, I feel like another thing about most people is they're reciprocal. Yeah, it's let me tell you some people. So the thing is, when it comes to like meeting people or friendship, like me too, I like to know where I'm at. So if I'm friends with you or I just get to meet you, I'm going to take it step by step. So there's the energy you give me, and I feel like, oh, I have to like determine the closeness of how we get and how we get. So maybe you have those people, but then probably you just have to start. Like, don't hold yourself back. If you feel like your friendship, your relationship, or whatever you're trying to build can be better, just take that step. Like, if you feel like it could be more meaningful, like, just don't let it be once in a while call and chat. Ask meaningful question. How are you? How's life? Like, try to connect with people.
Yo, if someone asks you today, how are you? How's life? Like,
I'll be very happy,
really?
Honestly,
Okay.
because it's not the normal how are you. Like, sometimes I have one friend, his name is Udwak, and I'm going to give him like his flowers today. So Udwak calls me and asks me, how are you? And I'm like, I'm fine. Like, no, I'm not asking you. I'm asking you, how are you?
How are you?
Tell me.
How are you really?
Yes. And it's really hard for people to like, everybody always says I'm fine. They're fine. I don't know for other people. Maybe for Nigerians, even if you're going through life and somebody asks you, how are you? I'm fine. Yeah. The highest thing they'll say is I'm surviving in a joking way. So you don't even know if to take them seriously or not. But then if somebody really asks you, I'm really asking you, how are you? Like, how's everything? Tell me. And that kind of person, I would definitely ask them to like, so it's try it. So you cannot just be the lukewarm person. So it has to, like I said, by example.
Always waiting for the love.
You said upbringing. Yes, some people are not so lucky to have the best. That's why also we're grown, we're adults. We know this is bad and this is good. So you can pick and learn. So I would say be the person.
Do you guys have some other like points to that?
I think
yeah.
So because this is about like, how do you combat like this, like if you feel like you're isolated, right, as a person, so on one side is like you also like, how do you say, like try to like, so I remember like Pastor Joyce would always say, like, if you want to make friends, be a friend. Right. So which is you be a friend to someone, right? And then you have a friend. And but I wonder, like, are there other things?
I think coming back to that empathy piece, that when you like listen to someone and show that you care about the things that are going on in their life, that people really value that. And if anyone is struggling to make friends, it's easy to kind of get sucked up into feeling sorry for yourself. But then there's so many other people out there who are struggling, and just the act of caring for those other people then actually makes it easier for you to get out of yourself and that feeling of isolation.
Interesting stuff. I mean, I think we kind of like covered most of the
and this
points.
has been a lot of unpacking. I don't know how, but then this is like really a lot of unpacking. We started with a poem, and here we are giving
exactly.
Yes, honestly, that's all I just have to say. You have to be a friend. It's very important.
Friend,
always try to know how people just try to get out of your comfort zone.
So, to wrap it up, I just want to say this world is actually connected. It's not really disconnected.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is connected. It's you that make it. Is we as humans that disconnect.
Yeah.
So try to connect with people also in your own way.
Be more connected.
Yeah, be more connected.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So before we wrap it up, right? So I have a few this or that questions.
Okay.
Right, to make it, to spice it up a little bit. First one. So I start with Martin. Face-to-face interaction or digital communication?
Face to face.
Face to face, so I can cry and you can see me.
Yeah.
I'm very emotional. So if I'm being vulnerable, I'm gonna be like, oh my god.
Yeah.
When was the last time you cried?
Today. I'm very emotional when I'm talking about things of the heart. And I remember talking to one of my friends, and I can be very emotional. My friend was like, I know, like everybody knows. If I'm talking about, please book me. But it depends, it could be digital. If the person I really want to talk to is far away. But I prefer face to face.
Okay.
Yeah, I prefer face to face too.
Okay. Individualism or collectivism?
Can I say both?
Both.
Like collectivism that still allows space for individuals to.
Yeah, I'll go with Martin.
Okay.
Teamwork makes the dream work. So sometimes you want to work with people.
Okay. Traditional communities or online communities?
Traditional.
So I guess so traditional in this sense, I think, is more like offline communities, right?
Yeah, I think those have been the more.
I mean, some people like there are some people who are like playing games like,
and they have a community.
Yo, like these guys.
Don't tell me about.
I know someone.
I know someone that has like millions of friends in the US, South Africa, whatever.
Mr. Chino, shout out to you, even though we're talking. But yo, like these guys, the whole day they're like on headphones and playing like Call of Duty or whatever. And like they're talking to someone in South Korea.
It's just like the other guy, Olamide, that's how he knows me. Like from all these games, and like it's so funny. Like
yo, like these guys, like it's a world they're reigning in there. You know what I'm saying? And like they've built community for themselves, like even like offline, online, right? And to me, like it's respect, like for people who do this, but honestly, it's not my word. Okay, deep conversations or small talk.
I don't really buy into deep conversations, but it actually really helps. It relieves you, or like
deep conversation.
For you, deep.
It can be deep. Yes, deep, like really deep.
For the most part, deep conversations. But if I'm like trying to read the poem several times, and everybody wants, like I was reading at a club, and people were on a lot of drugs, and they're like, "Oh my God, let's talk about this poem."
I can imagine that.
Maybe like a little smaller talk would be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Okay, next one, work-life balance or career advancement.
Work-life balance.
I can't say because I'm such a business person that there is no balance in my life, honestly.
Well, you're still trying. You are trying now.
I'm telling you that.
You still try to fit it.
It's somehow. Like, just like yesterday, I was so sick and I had to go somewhere. And I went because I had to shoot 3 people. And I was like...
The whole day, but still...
Yeah.
So it's more career advancement for you.
Career advancement.
Okay, how about you?
It work-life balance. I came to Berlin for 3 months to read a poem to strangers. So that's so much of the...
In the future, work-life balance. No, career advancement.
Okay. Offline hobbies or screen time? I think you already said you're offline people, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Personal connections or professional networking?
Personal connections, anytime, any day.
Yeah.
You too.
Okay,
Personal connections.
You don't know. Let's have this one. Quality time with a few close friends or large social gatherings?
Close friends.
Yes, close friends.
Yeah, I think we all.
The last one. So, expressing emotions openly or keeping things private.
Like I said, private, please. I'm a private person.
Please show all the emotions: angry, sad, happy, excited.
Okay.
I would express.
and you?
I think probably more private.
Yeah, more private. Yeah. For me too. So I'm also I think I'm quite private. So I mean, I was saying like people used to say like I have like this. I'm not easy to like
get through
to decode. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know why, but anywho, this production has been an interesting one.
I know.
I cannot hide it. Sorry.
You can't say it.
We can't hide. But anyway, it has been an interesting one, guys.
Yes.
Martin, super awesome that you were with us today. Thank you very much for sharing like this time with us and like your story. Your poem, I wish you the best with the rest 200. I'm told you plan to get to 1,000 people, right? To reach 1,000 people.
Yeah, that's the goal. See, and thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you for coming.
I run into you, then I'll be one of your 200.
How cool would that be, right?
I'm hungry. I don't want to hear it.
I was like going my turn today.
But I mean, like you read to us already.
Yeah,
this
is the personal reading.
So we still want your personal reading.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, but you don't live in Moabit, right? So,
I go there.
But don't you change?
I go everywhere.
Yeah, I also go everywhere. How come I've not seen you?
So we're going everywhere around each other.
Berlin is so huge. Come on,
Yeah,
like, like what are the chances that you're running? But this story you said about the man, like the one where the wife you read to the wife. That's like,
so cute.
in German it says Fortkrass. Like like that's
what a coincidence.
interesting. Like
so cool.
chance encounter. Like this is crazy stuff. Thank you guys for like staying with us. We do hope our listeners and viewers, as always, they've been able to pick some things right, about this topic. Please do care for people. If you have important people, you pick some. Even for me, I feel like I did learn something myself, right? If you do have like important relationships in your life, please do reach out to people, care for them, I've also learned like a lot. I'm trying to like remind myself to like
be better, check up on me more often.
You already okay now. Like
that's what you assume.
Yes, it's not that way.
Not assume people are okay.
I agree. Actually, that's true. But yeah, guys, like subscribe, comment, let us know what you think about like this topic of like
it's quite interesting.
About detachment. Do you think like our society is becoming more and more like disconnected and like self-centered and like and all of these things, right? As always, we're gonna see y'all later on the next one. Until then, I like to say drink water,
mind your business,
stay safe. And
watch Onlyfacts.
Watch Onlyfacts. Yeah. Tell your friends and tell your friends to tell your friends. And
I think this is quite an interesting topic, and you shouldn't listen alone. Like, definitely
invite people, right?
Or just send the link if you think somebody could learn something.
But wait, I want to ask a question. Do you mind like a private reading? Maybe I'm in my home and I call you to like read the poem.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know about that one. Guys, I think that's the sign we need to wrap up.
She's doing too much.
Thank you guys for staying with us. Until next time, stay safe.
Bye.
Peace out.